Okay, modelers, so today we've got something a little bit different. Some of you that know me with my models, I love me some Star Wars stuff. I absolutely adore Star Wars. Been a huge fan. I seen the first movie when it first come out in a small town of Blackwell way out west. And ever since then just been in love with the whole Star Wars thing. And yesterday I was around my friend's shop and he had these up on the shelf. And I know these are meant to be sort of toys, like a bit of an introduction to model building, I guess, but they're like a snap Tite kit. And they got, you know, lights and sound and all that sort of thing, so you can snap them together and then run around and play with the things. So they're sort of like a toy, but to me it's like a great introduction to actually doing modelling, like putting kits together, like things that are not in one piece when you buy them and you can, you know, take them straight out and run around with them. These are actually like you've got to put them together first and then you maybe, well, you can play with them or whatever. And I've actually seen a few of these on the net and they do build up really nice. They've got some beautiful detail in them. Now one thing that has changed from when I first seen these come out is the pricing. When they first come out they were reasonably cheap. Here in Australia they've actually gone up in price. I think it might be to do with the dollar exchange and like the importing and that. So they're not actually that cheap anymore. Like this one here was about $50 I think. But even so, I mean, it's not over the top, to be honest, like for what you're getting, because, you know, if you're talking lights and sounds and it is that toy and the engineering that's got in these kits is really nice. And like I say, really nice moulding on them too. So, yeah, so I thought I'd buy one of these. We'll see how it goes together and all that sort of thing. I'll just do an inbox review for this video. In the next few days, when I get time, I'll try and get this thing together. I'll do a video of me putting it together. And of course, being a modeler, I'm going to do some weathering that on it as well. But we'll just do a bit of an inbox review today. Have a quick look at what you get in the box for the money. And to be honest, the box art on that is just gorgeous. Absolutely love it. And I've seen my mate's got the TIE fighter in there, and he's also got the X-wing, the new X-wing. And they're just beautiful box art. They really are absolutely gorgeous. But then again, anything with Star Wars on it is something I like anyway. But yeah, it's got your age levels there. And like it says here, plug and play, build and play, snap Tite. And this is the Millennium Falcon, obviously. Rest of the box here, just a little bit more info. It's the same as the top there. And on the back, you've got some lovely pictures of the actual model itself. These are the parts that go together. And this is the actual thing all stuck together. So obviously the engines at the back all light up with that. There's a clear blue strip over there with the with all the vents and everything for the actual engine lighting up at the back. And down the bottom here you can actually see some of the others that they've got marked down here. That's the TIE fighter my mate's got in the shop, and I think that's the X-wing there that he's got in the shop. So there's a few available. There's not just like the one kit there. You got a bit of a choice there of what you want to get. So we'll open the box up here, guys, and we'll see what we've got inside. Okay, so we've got a little bag of goodies that are falling out here. Obviously these are all little parts that go on around it. I can see our cockpit there in the bag. Here's our guns, our cannons, laser cannons there. I'll quickly open this bag up, guys, because I'm going to be doing it in the next few days anyway, so it's not going to matter that it's open. Just grab a knife if I can find one handy here somewhere. There we go. Normally always got a sharp blade lying around here somewhere I can cut myself with. And we'll open it up and have a look. Okay, we'll look at the moulding on these. Oh, beautiful moulding on these. I'm actually really impressed with the moulding on those. Very, very nice. And you see on there the moulding that's on the inside of that. Okay, absolutely beautiful stuff. Lovely. So, you know, honestly, you can do a bit of weathering on these and they're going to be probably not every bit as good as, like, say, a one of the newer kits, but honestly they'll be beautiful anyway. The cockpit's obviously blacked out. It's not clear, so you can't see into the cockpit, but it's all blackened windows, which is fine for what you get, you know, for what this thing is. There's some more there. They're all blacked out as well, but just looking at the detail that they put in there is nice. There's our little radar. Look at that fella. You see the detail that's on the plastic and that. Very, very nice, guys. So yep, that's all those. And the laser cannons, they are what you expect them to be. They don't pop up or anything. They're just moulded into the top there. But obviously you can see that they're the laser cannons. You can see the tips of the barrels are actually moulded onto there, so if you wanted to have those separate, you'll have to cut those off there. Well, I don't think it's something you're really going to notice, to be honest. And pull this out. Okay, so we've got, there's our clear blue strip for our engines at the back of the Millennium. And we've got our instruction sheets here. And have a look at these. We'll have a quick look and see what we've got in our instructions. Okay, so those pegs there, those guys are your landing gear. They're your feet that she stands on, so that's your first step, is putting those into the bottom. And like we say, this is all like snap. So as you can see, it's just like click, 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 click. It's not like a big complicated build process, but for a kid who's never built a kit before, this is a great starting idea, like something they don't have to use glue and they don't have to trim plastic up, because this stuff's not on sprues where you have to clean up where you cut it away from the sprue and all that sort of thing. They just all separated already, so they're clean. You just got to snap them together, and at the end of it, the kid can play with it. Now, I know myself as a kid, I would have absolutely just gone mad over something like this. It would have been absolutely awesome, and the pride you feel in putting it together and then being able to, turn it on, it makes sounds and there's lights and you can run around and make all the Star Wars noises and things like that. I'm not saying I won't do that as an adult either, but for a kid, that'd be absolutely awesome. And we're looking at, there's where the batteries sit and all that sort of thing, tells you what the batteries are. And that's pretty much it, guys. Very, very simple, but it's a really great starting point for the young'uns who haven't done any. And here's our two halves. They're actually separated in the box. There's a bit of plastic at either end that holds them apart like that, so I don't think that they're rattling around there, guys. They're actually really well packaged. And the detail on this, for what it is just gorgeous. I'm absolutely loving that. Absolutely beautiful. We've got our the bits of colour there, where the Falcon's got those couple of bits of colour in there. The colour's a bit broken up, I can see in the red there, and one of the bits of blue, but that's fine because I'm going to be weathering this thing anyway to make it look like the Falcon, like she's been used, sort of thing. And there's all the base there, where everything gets sort of clipped, all gets sort of clipped together there. Actually, I was going to say that's actually the bottom. So, like that's the bottom. You're probably hardly ever going to see that, unless you have it sitting on a mirror. But just the detail they put in there. I mean, this is one of them places where some of the older toys they used to skimp. The bottom had hardly any detail, just a base mould shape sort of thing. They wouldn't have put detail like this, and it's absolutely beautiful. Hopefully you're picking all that up on the camera, like down in these recesses, all that beautiful tubing and piping, and absolutely beautiful. And that's the bottom of it, so that's more like the top. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. It's one of those things, guys, just holding my hand is just like making me happy. This just looks beautiful, this thing. I mean, this is probably not like your fine mould 72nd scale type detail, but I'm telling you that for what this is absolutely gorgeous. Really loving it. Again, all your colours are pulled on there, your blue and your red patching. I'll get it up a little bit closer so you can see some of this gorgeous moulding that's on here. Absolutely beautiful stuff. So obviously once you do a bit of a wash around a lot of this, this is just going to pop. All that detail is going to pop out at you. A bit of weathering, dirty her up a bit. Beautiful stuff. Just forgive the noise of the plane in the background, guys. And you'll know I live at an airport here, so we get that every now and then. But that's pretty much all that's in the box anyway, guys. That's the end of it. And I can't help myself. I'm going to have to sort of quickly put that on there and have a quick look at it. So I mean, it's a reasonably good size. It's not like something that's going to disappear. And very nice, actually. It's just screaming to like build a simple little base for her to sit on, or maybe even have a mirror if you want to show off that underneath detail. But I don't think I'd worry about that. I think I'd love to have it sitting on some sort of base where she's just parked up. But yeah, guys, honestly very, very impressed with that. So if you get a chance to have a look at one of these things, by all means have a look, because I'm sure, like me, in real life when you see this thing you'll be impressed. And I can't see any flashing or any of the areas. I can see a couple of little bits of, well, it's not flashing, but it's a little bit of a mist moulding around the front of there. but honestly really clean. So it's something that, you know, a kid starting off, like I say, they'll be able to put these things together really well. And from what I know, they're really good fits. They just snap in straight away. There's no mucking around with them. I know some of the original snap kits that used to get, especially for cars and that, were a little bit iffy in places, but apparently these ones are absolutely beautifully engineered. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much the end of the review. I will probably put some links down below for this kit, like at eBay and Amazon and that. If you use my links, obviously that comes back to me, credits me for sending people that way, which I'd appreciate. But I'll just, if I find them, I'll put some links down there so you can go and have a check on the prices. I'm not sure in America what the prices are like there, but here in Australia these aren't really that cheap anymore. But to me they're a very special item. It's just something new for the Star Wars collection. Okay, modelers, so we're doing a Millennium Falcon here, the Revell kit, and the first step is putting the landing gear underneath it. Now, one of the things I have noticed, if you want to clean this up and make it look like a really nice nice build, I'll just get this to focus. You see there's a seam line running right down the middle of that. You have to clean that up, because if you do look underneath it, you are going to see it. And the other thing is, this is how they sit. You can see that there. That's the landing gear fitted in there. You can push it down like that and you have it in flight mode, or you can push it up like so, and that's where it's landing. Now the thing is, once you push these into place, guys, it's probably going to be next to impossible to try and plug that back out and try and get it back out. As you can see, the circle goes through and then the couplings sort of snap around it. So you've got a big circle there and a smaller circle to try and get that back out. Plus these clips here have got little notches as well. So to try and get that back out there is going to be very hard, guys. So make sure, if you want to clean that up, try and clean it before you get it in there. I'm going to have to clean that one in there in place. Plus on the side here, the camera should pick this up, there's a little bit of a nip on the side of there and another one on in there, like a little bit of a, you can see a little bit of a hole in the back of that. I'm going to have to clean those up just in case people do see them, because like I say, I want to sort of do this kit fairly nice, but yeah, these are all little things you've got to look for. And like I say, the detail's superb on this, but you do have to be aware of stuff like that. Now obviously if you're going to have it in flight mode, you're not going to see any of that. It's going to be hidden right down inside there, which is fine, but it's up to you guys. I want to have this thing landed, so it's going to be snapped up like that, so I'm going to have to clean up all those little pieces. Okay, modelers, so there wasn't much to show you with putting this thing together. It went together in about, I think I've been doing it for about half an hour now, and that's it. It's all together. Very easy, beautiful fits. Everything just snapped into place. Absolutely gorgeous. The only thing is, I'm going to show you the faults. Now, if you're a kid and put this thing together, awesome. You'll be able to, run around with this thing now. And I'll show you. Push that back vent there. Yahoo! You can run around, make all these beautiful sounds. And as you can see, the lights at the back there. Awesome stuff. Okay. So as a kid, you put that together and you'll be able, you can run around with it now. It's all the right colours and all that sort of thing. You don't have to worry about too much. But as model builders, if you want to actually do this thing up nice, now you can see here on the side of the cockpit that there's that gap there where the seam runs up there. That has to be fixed up, obviously. Now that runs all the way around. You can see in between there and in between there, and there is a little bit of a gap between the top and the sides where the top goes on there, so you have to glue those down as well. Now don't worry too much about gluing it down, because what I was worried about is if I glued it on there, I wouldn't be able to change the batteries and I'd run out of sound. But there's actually a screw underneath here, undo that and you change your batteries in there. So it doesn't matter that it's all glued together. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to go around and I am going to glue it together, and there's a really big nasty seam up in there. Hopefully you can see that. The camera's trying to focus on the front of it, but hopefully you can see up inside there is a big nasty gap right up in there and it runs all the way around. So I'm going to fill those in, clean them up. I'm sort of going to glue that and clamp it and try and clean those up as best I can all the way around, so this thing really looks the part. Okay, so you're not going to see all those things. I'm going to try and turn this into a really nice display model. Okay, and I'm going to have it landed somewhere and on a nice base where I can just walk up, push the button and pretend to be a little kid again. Okay, So anyway guys, I'm going to get on with that now. There's no other faults I can sort of tell you about. Everything else went together beautiful. One of the things in the review of the inbox review I showed you, the cannons on the top here are actually attached. So I'm going to actually put a nick through there and shave those off. They actually spin around, so you can have those posed. The antenna here, beautiful, spins around as well. The cockpit is blacked out, but that's fine. I mean, it's only a display model, and we're not going to worry about trying to do a cockpit or anything like that, because honestly, there's just way too much work trying to put a cockpit in this, and it's not really what we're after anyway. This is just wants to be a simple build. We'll glue that together, do a bit of weathering, and on we go. Okay guys, I'll turn the camera back on at the next step. Okay modelers, so the point we're up to now, I've got it all weathered up. All I've done is just use the panel line wash on there, then cleaned it all back, and it's left us a really nice look there, really distinct panel lines on it now. Also cleaned up what I was showing you earlier around the seams here. I'm going to repaint those. I've got to match the grey to repaint that area there, so you're not going to see that big ugly seam line and that grey filler that's in there. I'll have to sand that back and I'll repaint that. That'll be on my next job. Then after that, all I'm going to do is a little bit of weathering. Like these systems here, you always see the black stains coming off these, so I'll be putting those on there. Other than that, there's not much to say. It went together really quick, went together quite nicely. Doing the panel line washes was probably the biggest chore, because as you can see, there's so many panels on there. I was going to use a blade to cut the cannons where they're attached on there. I was going to cut those off and take them off, but when I started to get in there, I was worried what was going to happen to the blade, would slip under there and break them off or something like that. So I didn't end up cutting them off, and really that detail's not something that's that noticeable anyway. So I didn't end up worrying too much about it, guys. But that is movable, as you see. It's a little bit tight in there, but it does move around, so you can pose it, wherever you want to have it sitting, sort of thing. But yeah, really happy with it so far. And once I do that bit of weathering, bit of painting on the side there, I'll put a flat coat over it, and we'll be pretty much done, guys. So I'll turn the camera back on at that step. Okay modelers, so the next step in the process that I'm doing now is I'm doing a little bit of it's sort of like fading and dry brushing and so on. So I've just got this brush, this flat brush here. It's got white oils on it. I've mixed a little tiny bit of black in there to make it just the slightest off-white colour, but it's definitely lighter than what the colour is on the machine itself. And then I've wiped off the excess onto a tissue, so you can barely see any paint coming off it. To do the dry brushing, I'm just dragging the brush over the highlights like that, and what it does, it just brings those parts out, like just highlights the very, very extreme tops of all that stuff. And as you can see, it does make a bit of a difference in there. And the other thing I'm doing is on these panels, I'll try and pick one that we can get a good view of. With that brush, in around the middle, I'll put a bit in there, and then brush it out to the outsides a little bit as well. Okay, you can see that's faded in the middle. Then I get another brush that's nice and clean, and it's fairly feathery and light. What I do is just rub that around. That just blends that in, so you haven't got like a stark white bit in the middle. Now you can do this several times over, depending on how much you want to fade that panel down. But try and keep it to the middle a bit, and keep the outsides that bit of a darker colour, and that gives you that little bit of a break in the colour rather than just having one stark colour in there. And I'm doing that on the reds and the blue panels, and highlighting everything on the whole model. So that's my step, and I'll just keep getting on with that now, guys, and turn the camera back on at the next stage. Okay modelers, so the next step is now I'm putting a little bit of staining, some exhaust staining back off the back here, which you see on the Millennium Falcon quite a bit. Sometimes I do see it really overdone where that whole back panel is black. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't been back through the movies to see if it ever got that dirty in any of the movies, but I mean, really, like I always say, it's artistic license, and if you want to have it that dirty, it's up to you. But for my taste, I just don't like it to be overdone. So all I've got is some black pastel chalk here that I've ground up with some really rough sandpaper, and just put it in there. And I'm just dipping my brush in there. Now this is a fairly smooth surface, so it doesn't stick like instantly like it would on a matte surface. So if you want it to start taking effect as soon as you touch the surface, spray it with a matte coat, and this stuff will hang on much better. But all I'm doing is I want to get the darker section right down the middle where it will come down there. Okay, and on a surface like this, like I say, where it's not matte, it's fairly glossy, it doesn't stick all that great. So you sort of, to get it really dark, you sort of got to dab the pastel in. You can see that there now, sitting in there really dark. Okay, now that's giving you that dark streak down the middle, but what we want to do is fade it out to the edges. So just lightly go to the edges of it, and what that does, that sort of stains around the outside of it as well, but it's not as dirty as that middle part is. Okay, now you can do this as much as you want or as little as you want, guys. If you just want to have like just a little bit of exhaust stain there, that's fine. That's up to you how you do that. Like I say, it's all artistic license with stuff like this. Okay, spread it right around to the back there a little bit as well. Okay, and what I might do is put a little bit more in the middle there, darken that back up again in the middle, like so. Okay, and it's just something you can play with, guys. Just keep, you know, adding more, or, you know, play around with it. If you don't like it, because it's a glossy surface, it is quite easy to get it off. So don't panic if you think you've overdone it. You can actually clean this off on a glossy surface. Matte surface, you can clean it off to a certain extent, but it's going to be a lot harder to clean off there. And you can see I've done this one quite a bit darker than that one. So like I say, you can just brush it off a little bit, and that'll bring it back to be a little bit more even anyway with what the other one is. Like I say, if I have a clean brush, I can clean that off really well. But I'm going to go over, it's just the same with these up here. I'll just do a bit of staining here to this one, and I'll just do the rest of those as well. And if you want to be really pedantic with this, you can go around and do like small raised parts and put little bits of streak coming back off them in the opposite direction of the flow of the aircraft. So, you know, little standout pieces you can have, like you know, it's not really on the back here, I can show you, but just say like on there, you can have like little bits of dark streaking coming off those. Okay, but again, it's up to you guys. You know, if you want to do stuff like that, that will take a bit of work, but it does liven it up. And like on like fact aircraft, when we do that, it does actually make a difference. It really makes stuff pop out at you and makes you look like it's an actual aircraft that's actually been in flight. So what we might do is just a little bit up here. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of streaking off the back of that. And as you see, it's not hanging on terribly well because of the gloss surface, but we don't want this to be overdone up here anyway. Okay, it's just a very subtle effect, like so. And you can see that's not overdone, that's very subtle. But you can go over the whole aircraft and do that as well as you want, and if you want to do that. I'm not going to worry too much about on this one here. I'm pretty much going to finish those exhausts off now, and that will be pretty much be the end of it until I get a base made up to set it on. Once I set it on a base, that'll be it, should be finished then, guys. But I've got to say, really happy with it so far. So I'll finish these off, and I'll turn the video back on when it's finished. We'll talk you over a few things, then I'll take some photos, and that'll be the end of the video. Okay, modelers, so we finished off to where I'm happy with it. So I've put a dull coat over there now. That'll hold all the weathering powders on, so you know, if you want to push the button down here to make your noises, you're not going to wipe off that beautiful soot off the back there. And you can handle it without worrying about, you know, ruining any of the effects that we've got, like the highlights and the dusting and things like that. Just remember, when you do put a dull coat on, you see the exhausts on the back here, they're nowhere near as prolific as what they were when I first put them on. The dull coat actually kills a bit of your pastels or your weathering powder effect. So always remember, when you're going to put a coat over it, if it's only a mist coat, it won't make too much difference. But if you're going to put a fairly decent coat on there so you can handle the model without destroying your weathering, just remember, overdo it just a little bit, because the testers will actually knock that back a little bit, and that's fine. You just got to allow for that. I know when I first started using it, a few times I got the weathering to where I really wanted it. I give it a pretty good coat of the tester's dull coat, and it just sort of killed quite a bit of the weathering, especially light dusting effects and things like that. They just disappeared. So anyway, but it does give you quite a nice finish. Like, I didn't put too much on here, so you can still see there's like the slightest little bit of sheen coming through that matte, that flat finish. so it's not completely dead. And I sort of like that look. I don't want it to be completely dead. So yeah, it's come up quite nice. I haven't done underneath, like I haven't weathered all the shoes and stuff up yet. What I'm going to do is wait until I do a base, because I'm not sure if it's going to be landed on concrete or landed on dirt or whatever. That's going to sort of tell me what sort of weathering I need to do underneath on the landing gear. I've done like all the panel lines and things like that underneath there, but as you can see, the feet are still nice and clean, so I've still got to do all that stuff underneath there when I do a base for it. But yeah guys, really nice fun little kit. If you've got youngsters that are wanting to get into the hobby, or if you know youngsters that are interested in it, definitely recommend these kits. The only thing is, the only drawback, they're not that cheap, but honestly they are brilliant for kids and that, and even big kids like me. I mean, there's a few of us modelers where big kids is probably part of why we do the hobby. But I mean, I just want to grab this and go run around the house and make all the noises with it. It's just, you know, they are really nice for what they are. I mean, you can probably get much more detailed kits as far as fine molds, the old kits they've done, the Bandai ones that are coming out. You can definitely do that, but honestly, for a really quick build, and something that's really good for youngsters to do, and even for us guys who have been into modelling, as you see, you can make them look quite nice. Yeah, they're an all-rounder. They really are. Anyway guys, what I'm going to do now is just show you the sound effects and the light effects on this, because that's one of the coolest things about it. It's sitting down at the back end there. I've got the foot pegs up, like up in the flying position at the moment, just so you can see better down onto the back here. So you've got this little exhaust here. That's the one that gives you the sound effects. There's 3 different effects. And as you can see, that beautiful light coming from the back there. How cool is that? So I'm actually going to take this to a model display tomorrow. We're at club setting up at a show. It's a bit of a family event, and I'm going to have this set up so kids can come along and push the button and have a bit of a play with it. Hopefully they'll get a few kids maybe interested in putting these things together and getting into the hobby, which is I'm a big fan of trying to get kids into the hobby. Because it's given me so much joy over the years, and you know, like, it teaches you art skills and patience and all sorts of things. I think it's one of the greatest hobbies out there. So I'm a big fan of trying to get younger ones into it, and I think kits like this go a long way towards helping us achieve that sort of thing. So really appreciate the Revell's brought these things out. But anyway guys, as always, all my links are down below. You can hit the sub button down there, give me a thumbs up if you like it, leave a comment. You know, I love reading you guys' comments and chatting with you. Yeah, check out all them links. I've got Facebook down there, Patreon, and I'll have links to where you can buy these kits and things like that. But anyway guys, that's pretty much all I can say about this video, and like always, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one.